You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's College Football Huddle. We're a day late, not quite $1 short, and I apologize, as I seem to have caught a nasty cold or something here in the last, 8 hours. So, my wife had, we had to watch our granddaughter today, so she's gone over there to watch her. I'm not feeling well. Anyway, welcome everybody. We got a lot to talk about. I want to welcome everybody watching on Facebook, our YouTube, our Facebook TGI Sports Talk page. Hopefully we're live there and on my personal page. We've had some issues with Facebook lately again. YouTube, Twitter. This show will replay live. No, replay live. Plausibly live on Saturday morning. What's that shining through there? 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, excuse me. All the groups that allow us to share: John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Flo and the Gang at Bottom Line Sports, Let's Talk Sports, Ken Krause at Sports Buds, Golf Buds, sports of all sorts. Thumbs Up DDH, Ralph Williams, quick shout out to him at RW Media, specifically the Sports Corner that he does with Smoking Jim Frazier every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. And tomorrow, a quick reminder, my guest with 101 with Keith Engle will be Richard Todd, former Alabama Crimson Tide quarterback. Hopefully he'll fare better than his team did this past week against Michigan. No, we are looking forward to talking to Richard about his time in Alabama, about his time with the Jets, and much more. Oh, gosh, guys. So anyway, I'm not feeling great, but we're going to go as long as we can here. Since we couldn't do the huddle yesterday, and I know from the group chat, the TGI Sports Talk group chat, we had lots of comments about the games yesterday, about the games Friday. What day is it? Sorry, the game's Tuesday, Alabama and Michigan. We had two coaches going at it, and Shane Beamer and Brent Bielema. Very interesting game, South Carolina and Illinois. And Danny says, "Go Notre Dame, better than the Quack." Danny, I don't know if Danny hates Oregon, or he just wants to tweak Paul Spada. Either way, we're rooting for Notre Dame today, as you all know. Interesting games yesterday, obviously, guys. Jesus, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's funny. I was feeling really okay last night. I woke up feeling okay, and I don't know. It's been kind of progressively going downhill. At noontime, I started really feeling crappy, and in the last hour, really crappy. So we'll go as long as we can. I know you guys want to chat. Interesting games, I guess. More interesting games so far. One postponed by a God, I don't know how to, a tragic situation in New Orleans. Pure evil again strikes some demented soul. Just hates the world, hates his country, and hates himself. Wants to take people with him, and so far he's taken 15 and got this Sugar Bowl today pushed back to today. The Sugar Bowl should have been last night, pushed back to today. That's not the important part, obviously. The important part is what actually happened there. Very sad situation. our hearts and prayers go out to the families of those, certainly those that were killed and those that were injured. So it's a scary world we live in sometimes, guys, and we need the distraction of sports. So I'll apologize ahead of time to anybody who gets offended, which I don't normally do, if we talk sports more than this tragedy. Now, to me, it's going to affect the game, or could affect the game. We don't know how it will affect either or both of these teams, this delay, being locked up in their hotel yesterday. And again, I will preface this with, that's not the important part of what happened yesterday. I understand that. We're talking sports now because this is the outlet that we need. So people like me don't go crazy. But I think it's, you have to consider what will happen. Interestingly enough, I bet the game yesterday. I bet Notre Dame, even though I've already got a ton of money, not necessarily my money, but a ton of winnings riding on Notre Dame's success in this tournament, if you will. But I did bet Notre Dame +1. Today, Notre Dame's -1. Not sure what precipitates that, but we can talk about the game today, which we'll have it on for a little bit, probably while we're talking. Unless, and I need your guys' help today because I can't talk for an hour or an hour and a half straight, which I'll do anyway, but I'm going to have trouble focusing on my own comments, I think. But we do have, listen, I want to talk about the quarterfinals versus the first round, right? We did end up with 2 games that were, I guess Boise State was somewhat competitive with Penn State. Second half, which I was out until the second half. I didn't see the first half. What I saw wasn't terribly competitive. Penn State played good defense, so you can count James Franklin as a winner again this weekend. Ryan Day's a winner because Ohio State just took it to Oregon yesterday. I bet the over in that game, and I was concerned for a while that Ohio State might have to get them all. But we did finally get one good game. And keep in mind, this isn't about this tournament. This isn't why we're seeing blowouts. Blowouts have happened. 30, what did I come up with the other day? 30 in the 14 playoff. 21 out of 30 games were decided by more than 2 touchdowns. So this isn't about the 12-team playoff. It's hard to put good matchups together. There's lots of reasons teams come out flat or not. Now, in Oregon's defense, there's no way we should have been watching an Oregon-Ohio State matchup in the second round of this tournament. These 2 teams should have been on either side of the bracket. They're the best 2 teams in the tournament. Oregon didn't look like it yesterday. I understand that. But these are the 1 and 2 teams in the country. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They should have been on either side of this bracket. Stop with the seedings and the rankings and blah, one or the other. Seed them 1 through 12 and then, stop giving buys to conference winners. Give it to the best 4 teams. This stuff won't happen. Regardless, Ohio State took it to Oregon yesterday. And Texas, who looked like they were going to take it to Arizona State, Arizona State, very gamely. They fell behind 17-3 in this game. And they methodically, they played good on defense. They got off the field. They moved the football, had some trouble putting it in the end zone, getting points on the board, but stuck with it. And they finally put this game into overtime. Not without some controversy, obviously. Danny, I see you here. You and I yesterday in the conversation were 100% on the side that the play we saw near the end of the game with, 3 minutes left on third down for Arizona State. Incomplete pass or short pass completed I can't remember now. Either way, it wouldn't have been a first down. Texas defender hits the receiver. I seriously didn't see targeting. Danny, you and I seem to be the only ones. I know that the rest of the chat group thought it was obviously targeting. I don't like the I saw a lot of comments that if it wasn't targeting, it's a defenseless receiver. And I don't like that call necessarily either, unless it's egregious. That would not have been egregiously a defensive receiver. You have to tackle the guy if you think he has the ball. And I don't think this was targeting. I'm sorry. And partly, and maybe my opinion is influenced by the lack of clarity of what targeting is. This kid did not launch himself. This kid, to me, when you look at it from several angles, this was face mask to face mask. He didn't lower the crown of his helmet. The receiver is lowering his head. Again, this is one we're just going to have to agree to disagree on. And if you're Arizona State, don't come crying and say it cost us the game, which I know they aren't necessarily. People are coming to their defense and saying this affected the outcome. There's an article in the Athletic today I was reading about that. The call is what it is. And I don't like the targeting rules anyway. I mean, I don't want to see kids get hurt. I don't want to see helmet to helmet. I don't want to see a lot of this stuff. But this kid didn't launch himself. He did not maliciously try to hit him helmet to helmet. There was some contact helmet to helmet. Yes. A lot of it was face mask to face mask. Yeah. I think it's time to get rid of the rule. Just me. But this was an exciting football game, finally. How come I can't find a game? How come I can't find the scores of the game? There we go. Sorry. And there's some other, we'll look at some of the other bowl games if you want as well. So we have one semifinal set up, right? Ohio State and Texas. I'm sorry. Yeah, semifinal. And you could see an all Big Ten final. How would that rankle the SEC? That'd be kind of interesting, I think. I don't know. Back to this Texas game, though. Quinn Ewers ends up with pretty good numbers. I thought there were places where he really didn't play well, though, in that second half. He came up huge on a 4th and 13 with Texas's season on the line in that overtime and throws a touchdown. The guy gets wide open. And these rules, that's the other thing I have to get into. The rules for this, these overtime rules, I mean, they're ridiculous. Play like the NFL does. Let both teams touch the ball. Play a full quarter. Do something. This isn't football. You start to 25. First time, you can kick an extra point. Second time, you've got to go for 2. And after that, you're just going to trade 2-point conversions for the rest of the game. Thank God we didn't get to that point. See 8 or 9 overtimes. Foolish. Game yours, though. I thought a very uneven day for him. And he's looking like a, day 3 selection in the draft to me. And Texas could not run the football. To me, that was the big story of this football game. It took Scatabo some time to get going, and I thought Arizona State was telegraphing plays too many times with him up the middle. But he, at the end of the day, he runs for 143 yards, throws a touchdown pass, which was a horrible pass. Probably only a touchdown because it was so badly thrown. But he also caught 8 passes for 99 yards. This guy was the MVP in a losing effort. He's a fun guy to watch. I compared him yesterday to Larry Zonka with more athleticism. Fun guy to watch. That was the difference in the game to me, is Texas could not run the football. They got ahead. They had control of this football game, but couldn't put it away. Arizona State had a player ejected for targeting. Like or hate the rule, we need consistency. The problem is there is no. That's my problem with the rule, Rick. It's going to be subjective all the time. unless it's blatant, which is easy for all of us to see. And that was not blatant targeting. I'm sorry. The guy didn't launch himself. He didn't lower his head. There was no malice intended. That's what targeting is to me, where there's malice intended. You're looking to do harm. You're launching yourself as a human missile. That's what the rule was put into place for. If you remember, the targeting rule originally was put into to stop the spearing that was going on in the league. That's where targeting originated or the leagues. That's where the rule originated, and it became now it's more of these helmet to helmet. I mean, it's football. Are you not going to have helmet to helmet collisions in football? How do you eliminate that? Now, again, if a kid is maliciously trying to hurt another kid, and you see it, it is very easy to see the difference. Rick, Kenny's not here. You guys played the game. You know what it looks like when a guy is maliciously targeting another player in order to create something bad. That wasn't the case here. This was a football play. So again, I want the rule gone because of the lack of consistency, because of the lack of too much subjectivity, if you will. And it shouldn't be deciding football games. I mean, I know I'm in the minority, but I think it would have been a crime, and I wanted Arizona State to win that game. I bet Arizona State, and they covered, but still, I would like to have seen them win the game. That was my rooting interest in the game. But I think it would have been crime if they win that game because it gets targeting gets called there. I think it would have sucked. Just me. Again, we can agree to disagree. It's fine. Danny has gone silent on me. Maybe he's reconsidered. I know there was some discussion. I can't watch Stephen A. Smith, and I guess they were I don't know what they were talking about today. I have no idea. Nor do I care whether he agreed or disagreed with me. I'm not changing my opinion based on what Stephen A. Smith says. Or anybody, probably. I don't think you're ever, again, there are times where I admit I'm wrong. I won't admit I'm wrong here. It's a matter of opinion. That's the problem with the rule. What gets called is a matter of opinion. There's our boy AC. He's ready for that Notre Dame game. Stop it, Alan. Please don't do that. Please. I shot that. Well, Paul laughed about it in the chat. Don't talk about. Do you think money mattered? Do you think the fix was in? Please, we have to stop watching if that's the case. Nobody bought anybody off. Stop it. Oh my God! I know you have a rooting interest against Texas because you're an Oklahoma fan. It makes sense, but please don't. I hate it. I hate it. And I'm sorry, Alan. You're the somebody else probably would have brought this up if you didn't. I hate it when we insinuate that somebody bought somebody else off. Stop it. I mean, good God. The rule itself needs to be changed. That's what I've been saying here now for, 49 minutes and also, no, 49 minutes, 19 minutes, and probably the last 5 years, because the rule sucks. The rule, again, like every rule that gets put into all the sports, gets bastardized. The rule was put in to eliminate spearing. What you watched yesterday, that was a football play where two helmets happened to collide. There was no malice. There was nothing. If you saw something else, then you were watching a different game than me, and it's okay. I would have liked to seen Texas lose yesterday as well, Alan. Rick? They could have called targeting on the interception. Texas, I agree 100%. Again, Both of them, I think that picking up the flag in both instances was the right. Well, there was no flag, but not throwing a flag and not calling targeting after reviews. By the way, we get endless reviews in college football. This is why it takes 2 hours to play a half sometimes. Endless reviews for everything, targeting especially. And unless it's egregious, let's stop this nonsense and let them play football. So you're correct, AC. They could have. I think they made the right call in both instances. Let them play football until somebody's really, yes, Notre Dame, and so until something really egregious happens. And as I said at the top, yes, pray for the victims and the victims' families. A lot of young people, a lot of young families affected here by what happened in New Orleans yesterday. And thank God it has now been determined that he acted alone. Just one lone nut. Joking a little, but yeah, I'm a personal. I know you're, but that's fine. I'm okay with your personal crusade. That's fine. Again, just don't. I hate it when people. I know you, but without the laughy face or the LOL, it's hard for me to know. Because Alan, the problem is so many people are serious about that stuff. It's unbelievable to me. The NFL, college football, it's all fixed. It's all fixed. Well, then stop watching. Right? It's fine to have your agenda against your arch rival. Right? I'll show Texas some respect. They won the game. I give Arizona State all kinds of respect because they were on their way to getting run out of the building yesterday, and they found a way to hold on. Even it was 17-3 for a long time, and they kept missing opportunities, and then they finally started to catch. Scannable was amazing. He's an athletic Larry Zonka. What an exciting player to watch. Sam Levitt didn't play his best game and both those guys were spouting off at the mouth. But they mostly backed it up. They didn't win the game, but they played well enough to win, and it's fun. Alan says, AC says, I think after what we've seen so far in the playoff, we can at least say we're going to crown a true national championship, and every team that deserved a shot got a shot. 100%. All you crybabies in Alabama, shut up. You couldn't even beat a mediocre, at best, Michigan team. And by the way, Jalen Milroe will be in the NFL next year, not in Oregon. That's not happening. One man's opinion. What do you got? Terrible what? I need help. I'm assuming you're talking about your team's performance yesterday, Paul. AC, so Danny disappeared on me here and left me on my own devices. Thank you, AC. So that's three of us who agreed that was not targeting. Now, again, if you're going to have a targeting rule, I guess there's going to be a debate. What you saw yesterday, both of those plays were just football plays. Because in football plays, Rick, where are you? In football plays, there are times where helmets will collide. I mean, seriously? Look at the line play. Jeepers. I do like Notre Dame. It's on right now, Alan. It starts in about 6 minutes. 6 minutes and 4 seconds. So don't miss it. I like Notre Dame. So I had a Notre Dame Oregon final. I think Notre Dame Ohio State will be interesting. I do not think Texas is beaten in Ohio State. And Ryan Day, by the way, big winner so far. In the playoffs, so far, the big winners are Ryan Day, He still may need to win a championship to really get people off his back, and they still won't be off his back. And James Franklin. Big losers. Group of 5 teams again. I wrote down the ACC, but that's really for the postseason in general. The ACC's been miserable. That Dylan Gabriel, big loser. Rourke, big loser. Scotabo was awesome yesterday, for sure. My problem with it, and again, maybe it's partly by design. They lure him into, thinking they were going to be totally unimaginative and just keep running Scotabo into the line all day long between the tackles. And Texas is just eating up alive early. But then they got a little bit more creative, and maybe that was a game plan. Lure him into thinking you're just going to be a boring, ground and pound. This is one of the most fun guys I watched play all year. The last few weeks, I watched them play their last 3 games. This kid is so much fun to watch. I don't know whether he'll make it on the next level. I have no idea. Don't care. I just know he's a great college football player. And guys, I apologize. Half the people I know are sick for some reason. And it just hit me here this afternoon. I was feeling a little logy this morning, and this afternoon I'm feeling like really crap. But, here's the thing with Oregon. Very talented football team. They'll get over the top eventually. I don't have any inordinate hate for Oregon. In fact, I would have liked to have seen them win yesterday, Paul. If I'd bet the game, I would have bet Oregon. If I bet the game. I only bet the over because I just wasn't sure. Hard to beat somebody twice. They were fortunate, very fortunate, to win the first time. If Will Howard had better presence of mind, they likely would have lost on a long field goal the first time. But yesterday, they just came out totally flat. It was too late. The game was over before they had a chance to even catch their breath. You got a good coach. You got a good foundation. From what I understand, there's 2 good quarterbacks behind Dylan Gabriel that they're very excited about. Don't think it's going to be Jalen Milroe because again, I cannot find a way to substantiate any rumor about Jalen Milroe except that he'll be in the NFL next year and probably be the 3rd quarterback picked. Probably too high. There you go. Thank you, Alan. Again, I try to tell you guys. But Jalen Milroe was never going anywhere but the NFL. And he will be overdrafted. I believe the last thing I saw, I remember I have, I use FFP.com, whatever it is. They had him the 3rd quarterback going. Let me see if I can find it. FFP. Is it FFP.com? I don't know. Better be. There it is. No, that's not it. That's Custom Frazier's Fabric or something. Anyway, they have Cam Ward going first, Shedeur Sanders second. This is a very good site, by the way. I think they've got them all too high. And to James Martin won't see this live, but I've talked a lot about how you don't win draft on a quarterback number 1. We'll talk more about this as we get closer to draft time. Only 8% of the quarterbacks drafted in the first round since 1967 have ever won a Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying you never draft a quarterback in the first round because you need a quarterback to win, and you don't pass on some guys. But the problem is you overcompensate and you draft I love Cam Ward. I don't think he's a guy you waste a top 10 pick on. Should he be another first round draft pick? Probably. He might be the only guy I think deserves to be a first round draft pick. But he'll be overdrafted. Shedeur Sanders will be overdrafted. Milroe will be overdrafted. And the rest will probably fall backwards. Carlton, my boy. I see you got your new favorite quarterback as your logo or your avatar or whatever you want to call that. Us old guys don't know what to call that. Profile picture. Is that your new quarterback? You lose today. Close game. This will be a hard-fought game. Seriously, I have to see. Oh, my God. They had to wake Joe up from his nap to talk to the nation before this game, apparently. So, Anyway, I think it'll be a hard-fought game. I see this as a field goal either way. I bet Notre Dame. I've got Notre Dame winning the national championship before the season, Carlton. If you weren't part of these conversations all year long, it's worth $7,000 to me. 3 more games or over today. And they're having a moment of silence right now for the victims yesterday. Quite a police presence, by the way, outside of this the Superdome. I mean, they've got dogs with every car going by. They've got everything going on here. This is probably the safest place in America today. I hope. It's sad that we have to worry about this stuff. I'd rather argue with Carlton about why Georgia won't win by 10. But I think it'll be a close ball game. And this is not, I'm sorry. It's not your Georgia team of the past, right? This is not the Georgia that you saw the last 3-4 years. Even without Carson Beck, or even with Carson Beck, they were very beatable. They played a tough schedule, tougher than Notre Dame. This will be the best team Notre Dame's played by far. But I think it'll be a very close fought game. And look, Georgia might win this game by 10. I like Allen's prediction. I don't know if I agree with Allen's predictions, but I do like Notre Dame, Ohio State. By the way, for those Notre Dame haters, Notre Dame has not won a major bowl game since 1994. That's 30 years by my Perth math. They're 0-10 in that time frame in major bowl games. That's more than a generation. They won a national championship since 1988. And by the way, in those, they've lost those bowl games, those major bowl games to 10 in the last 30 years by an average of 2 touchdowns. The 2 times they played in the playoff up until now, the 14 playoff, they got blown out. This team is different. This year is different. There's no team. There's no great team. There's no Alabama that blew them out twice in the playoff. There's no Georgia from 2 years ago and 3 years ago. There's no Clemson from 5 and 6 years ago. This is wide open. This is Notre Dame's chance to win the national championship for the first time since 1988. I don't think they've had a better chance in this in all those years. SEC losers in general based on the narrative given. Yeah, I would agree. The Big Ten's the winners. Just by the mere fact that James Franklin is still alive and he's still got to beat a top 10 team here to win the national championship, which he has done twice, I think, in his entire career. It's going to be an interesting matchup no matter who wins this game next week. Penn State against Georgia. Rematch of the 82 championship, de facto championship game in the Sugar Bowl. Just got to listen to Danny Ware. Break over. See you later, Boston Paul. Milrose, and you know what, Scott, I agree. And welcome, Scott Kobe. Good to have you with us. Happy New Year to you, my friend, and hopefully it's a much better one for you. 5th or 6th rounder, but he'll get drafted. Guarantee you, he'll be the 3rd quarterback drafted. I shouldn't guarantee anything, right? I believe he'll be the 3rd quarterback drafted. and maybe second round, maybe third, probably third round. Personally, I wouldn't pick any of these guys before the back of the first round. Cam Ward's a back of the first rounder guy. I bet Notre Dame to win the Natty. Did I? Not money line. Yeah, of course. I got plus 2,500 before the season. I'm very happy with that. And I got it 3 times for $100 though. You got to manipulate these betting sites when you can. When they want to give you free money, you take it. So for a $100 bet, I got $7,500 return coming in. I bet Notre Dame today. You bet Notre Dame the first half based on however you bye week that team has started the game extremely slow. Good point. Notre Dame 550 for you. Today? No, that's national championship. I'd like to get 30 or 40 from a $5. Oh, you get like 30 or 40 from a $5 bet on Texas you also made. Well, you can go to Starbucks for that. Scott unfortunately agrees with Allen that Ohio State is on a mission for sure. Notre Dame and Notre Dame is that good enough. I think that's a question. I don't know if I'm following the end of that. Ohio State's definitely on a mission. You saw the way they've gotten out in both of these last 2 playoff games. And again, I will say again, the fact they have to change, and I don't know that they can do it for next year because of the contract that's already been signed. The conference winners have got to stop getting buys. Into the buys can't go. If you're going to stay with 12 teams, the 4 buys need to go to the 4 best teams. You can't have this ranking and then seeding, because there's no way Ohio State should have been playing Oregon yesterday. They should have been on opposite sides of this bracket. This is a major flaw that will get corrected, but I don't think it can be corrected until 2026. ACC, have they won? I think they won 1 bowl game, actually. I think they're like 1-8 or something. Let's see if I can. I'll find it for you and I'll give it to you right now. Conference bowl game records. Here we go. Are we excited? The ACC 2-9. They got 2 wins. We missed one. They got Duke going tonight. I think Ole Miss will probably kick their ass. I bet the over in that game. I'm gonna bet the over in that game. I haven't yet. The American Conference, by the way, 6-1. Again, now take into consideration some of the bowl games these guys are playing in. We shouldn't be playing. Okay, let's be clear. I got a couple of comments about Cam Ward too. While we're on this topic, well, let's go through this. The American is 6-1. The ACC is 2-9. The Big 12 is 4-4. Big 10 8-5. Big winners plus 2 alive in the playoff. Conference USA 1-3, Independence 2-0. How can I be 2-0? Oh, that's because Army and Navy aren't in Pence anymore. That's Connecticut and Notre Dame, believe it or not. MAC is 4-2. The Mountain West 1-4. Pac-12 0-1, sorry. SEC 7-5, and the Sun Belt 3-3. So there you go. Somehow they slid a second win on us, Scott. Yeah. You want to know what? I'll tell you something right now, though, Rick. I know you're kidding. I think you're kidding. Jalen Milroe in the 5th or 6th round, like as Scott said, would be worth a shot for a lot of teams, especially teams that are searching for a quarterback. I think there's a chance he plays in the league. I don't think he's going to help anybody now, and I don't think you waste a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round pick on him, but my team's not going to take him. But a team that needs a quarterback like the Giants or the Jets, taking Jalen Milroe at the 5th or 6th round would not be the worst possible path to take. Oregon supposedly was the best team in the country in their road was immensely tough. It was ridiculously tough. And again, no excuse for going there and getting blown out yesterday. I'm not saying this in any way, shape, or form, because I've been saying this before the game was ever played. The way this tournament is set up is ridiculous. The two best teams need to be on opposite sides of the bracket. Doesn't mean you won't get mismatches in the second round. The NCAA basketball tournament, you get mismatches all the time, but you're never going to see 1 against 2 in the second round. Silly. Same holds true for the NFL. Lions and Vikings are a perfect example. Yes, but I feel I don't know why, Rick. And maybe they need to reseed in the second round in the NFL as well. You need to, if you just have 1 through, what do we have, 10 teams in each conference in the playoffs? I know it's not that many. Is there 6 teams in each conference? I don't even know the number right off the top of my head. Because there's so many. There's too many already. But you can't go 1 through 6. What's the point of playing divisions at all? College football is a little bit different. There's 133 teams, right? Now, if you want to let every conference in, different story. But if you only had seeds 1 through 6 or 7, I guess 7 teams get in the playoffs, right? Am I doing my math right? 6 down to 3 to 4. Yeah, 7 teams in each conference. Too many to begin with. And we're not going to get into a big discussion about the NFL here, but I would not be in favor of 1 through 7 or 1 through 14 or whatever you want to do. I'm assuming you mean within conference, because then you destroy the integrity of division play altogether. And I don't want to see that. Do you? Do you want to see just an AFC and NFC and, 15 teams? I don't know. Maybe there's something to be said for it. When you're betting bowl games in the future, Army and Navy are 18-5 against the spread combined in the last 23 bowl games. There you go, Scott. Good, great call. I called and bet the Navy over Oklahoma. Alan, sorry. We've kicked off, by the way, and Georgia is, was that the kickoff? No, second down and 11. So Notre Dame won the toss. I did bet both Army and Navy this year myself. Milroe gave all Alabama plays away, and his feet were spread apart when it was a pass, and his feet were even good catch, if that's a fact. I didn't see a lot of that game. I was working. I was doing some work and doing some other things. I wasn't, to be honest with you, I just couldn't get interested in a lot of these bowl games. I did not watch one entire bowl game other than the playoff games. If I had a bet, I was keeping track of it a little bit on a second TV or third TV. Yeah, I just can't get interested. I saw maybe 2 plays of that game. I didn't bet it, so I didn't care. And that's how we've gotten it. I would have in years past, many years past now, I would never have missed a bowl game. But they're just not a big deal. And and the opt-outs, because, and again, it's very hard to bet them. I've done okay. I shouldn't have bet any games. We had a free in the cigar box. You have limits to the week, but we had a free day on Tuesday. I bet 3 games. I lost them all because you don't know who cares. There's no way to know who cares about playing and who doesn't. Rick talks about quitters. I've got no way to know who's quit in their mind and who hasn't, unless they physically quit, like a lot of players don't show up. But we only single out a few. We had all kinds of people in my chat room getting pissy about Milroe playing when he didn't plan on coming back, or supposedly had made a decision to go to Oregon, which I tried to convince them was not correct. But even if he decided he was going to the NFL, why should we get on guys for opting out? Then we get on guys when they play. Oh, if they are coming back, I don't want them. Well, you can't have it both ways. Don't argue both sides of this argument. And I know it's not everybody. So I'm not. And again, I was having trouble following the whole conversation because I could only pop in from time to time, and I'd fall way behind. And but I don't like guys opting out, quitting on their team. But Cam Ward took a lot of grief for opting out at the second half of the Miami game. The team knew he was going to opt out. Marco Cristobal said he'd rather Cam play, and then he could get his second string quarterback some reps, and he was fine with that. And something else people don't know, and it's not my job to stick up for Cam Ward. Cam Ward stayed there and stayed helping his backup quarterback, coached him up, if you will. And there's also one other thing people don't seem to know. And I don't know that it's been that widely reported. But if Cam Ward had opted out of that game, there were 10 or 12 other guys on Miami that were going to opt out as well. They only played because Cam played. So he did what he felt was doing right by his team, saying, I'll come back, play the first half if you guys come and play. And that's what went down. We can't give them any credit for that, apparently. No, they lost. Who cares? It's a freaking Pop-Tart Bowl. Get rid of these bowl games. Again, if they're not important enough for these kids to play in, which, by the way, they probably aren't, except in the playoffs, and maybe 3 or 4 other bowls, I don't want to play anymore. Use all of these. Find a couple of bowl games you want to hold on to and make that first round at bowl game sites. Quarterfinals, perfect with the bowl games yesterday. The semifinals are both in bowl game sites. And even make the final, the Rose Bowl every year, or rotate it, whatever. I know the Rose Bowl wants 5 o'clock New Year's Day every year, so maybe they have to forfeit that right. But it's time to realize. And again, if players, you guys all want to get on the players, what about the coaches? Why is there not an uproar over 6 coaches that didn't coach their team in a bowl game because they took another job? Why is there no uproar for the NCAA opening up the transfer portal from December 2nd or 9th, I don't remember which one, till the 28th? Now the kids who play in bowl games do have 5 extra days. Bill Rowe, for instance, would have had 5 days to hit the portal, and so did anybody who's played and still playing in bowl games. But it's, stop. Where am I? I fell way behind on my comments here. Millrow gave Carlos, hello to the Mad New Yorker. Yeah, too many players. Blame the NCAA, Carlos. I'm not blaming the players anymore. I blamed the players for a long time, and I had to stop blaming the players. The players did not institute a December 2nd to December 28th portal window for the winter. They have to get in. So if they're going to go to a new school, they've got to get there by January to enroll. And they've only got this window to hit. I don't see you getting on to coaches for not coaching in the games. But I agree. Don't play the games. The games aren't important. 40 bowl games or whatever there is. We don't need more than 15. And use them all and as we make the playoff bigger, use them all for the playoff and get rid of every other bowl game. Because you know how they decide who goes? The teams who say they can, they got to be bowl eligible. And how many tickets will you buy? That's one of the first questions gets asked every bowl invite. How many tickets can you buy? George is punting, by the way. Hello, Sonia. Happy New Year to you. Thank you. Going to be a big game in a few minutes. Big game right now, and we want Notre Dame badly. Thank you, Sonia. Too many bowl games. All but the grass bowl. Seriously, I can keep 15 bowls at most. 15 bowl games at the most. How many do I need for the play? Here's how many I need for a 16-team playoff, which is where I want to get. 8, 12, 14, 15. 15. Look at that. I hit it right on the button. 15 bowl games to play a 16-team playoff. That's it. Very interesting, by the way, that let's see. They don't give me the bowl game here. I hate that. Give me this here. So Ohio State won the Rose Bowl, right? They can make history because no team has ever won 2 major bowl games in the same season. Texas can win the Rose Bowl and the Cotton Bowl, and actually Penn State or Notre Dame or Georgia can win 2 major bowl games in the same year as well. Interesting. I can't say that for Texas because I don't think the Peach Bowl is still a major bowl game, which they'd all have to be considered that if we use them as part of the playoff, right? Here's what they should do. Increase to 14 to 16 teams so nobody gets a bye. 100%. Well, if you go to 14, somebody's got to get a bye. You got to go to 16 so nobody gets a bye. 14 doesn't eliminate byes, Scott. Somebody's got to get byes. But I agree. If you're going to keep 12, then just rank them 1 through 12 and stop this nonsense, right? Scott, nobody's sticking up for Melrose feet, but the old linemen tell you pass or run. No sticking up for Melrose feet, but the old linemen tell you pass or run. True. Thought we're. All right. Notre Dame's on offense. Let's go Irish. Brett Merceberger said that ABC has language in the Rose Bowl contract says they have to show the award ceremonies after the game. That was interesting. The Rose Bowl has many very specific language clauses in that contract for sure. One of them is they have to have that 5:00 window on New Year's Day, which they've had to, again, I think that's gone now because it's one of the things that held up this playoff for a lot of years was the Rose Bowl clinging to their historic spot. Every other bowl game, the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, they've all been moved around to different dates and times. I mean, there was a time where they were all played on New Year's Day. Oh, get up. Did they call that? I hope not. Maybe they did call it. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like Georgia's still got the football. Running into the kicker. Oh, no, I take it back. I guess I didn't call that because that looks like Riley Leonard. My bad. All right. Matt Henry, good afternoon. Good to have you with us, buddy. Up in Buckeye Nation. Big win for the Buckeyes yesterday. Listen, everybody wondered how they'd respond to the Michigan loss. Well, I think you can't respond better than they have. You can say whatever you want. I've said a lot of derogatory things about Ryan Day. That he coaches tight and his team plays tight. They have come up huge these last 2 weeks. And they did what they had to do. They got, especially against Tennessee, they had to get out of the blocks fast, and they did. They couldn't let that home crowd turn on them against Tennessee, and I think that start there really propelled them. A very interesting matchup with them in Texas coming up, for sure. Especially Cam Ewers transferred out of there. It's going to be very interesting. The NL has changed everything in college football. That's another reason. Like I heard, I heard. By the way, that would be, and again, I'm sure this happens everywhere. He's not in the portal. If in fact a team has offered him $6 million then there's no bigger case for tampering. But we only get on Jim Harbaugh and the Patriots for anything to do with tampering or bending rules of any kind, because nobody does that. Nobody bends rules. Everybody bends the rules. This is a perfect example. Do you think that these teams all wait to the portal to contact players and say, same way with the NFL free agency? Tampering is the most ridiculous thing ever talked about. You have to tamper. How do 25 guys immediately transfer as soon as the portal opens if they weren't already in contact with those schools? And the rules say you can't have contact with a player until the portal's open. I find it hard to believe anybody's paying Cam Ewers $6 million, but I'm not going to say anything. Is there a Bahama Bowl? Is that the one that's being played after all these major bowl games? Friday, Texas, North Texas, and I got another thing too. I don't have a problem. If you saw I did see this play. South Carolina, Illinois were playing in a very chippy ball game the other day, and South Carolina ran kind of a trick play on a kickoff, and they gave this T-bar sign, which is, I never actually even knew this. When they do this, it's a signal to the defense, slow down because we're not going to catch the ball. We're just going to let it go through the end zone. Well, they gave this T-bar sign, and they caught the ball and ran a trick play out of the end zone. And Brett Bielema later on, not too much later on, when the player was hurt on the South Carolina sideline, is over there taunting the Carolina sideline, including Shane Beamer, who had to be restrained from going after Bielema. I thought I was watching the XFL. Right? They should consult me. You know something, Sonia, I'm here doing this for free, and which is, yeah. Well, if I get consulted, I'll probably get sued because it wasn't my idea originally. I'm sure I stole it from somebody while I was sleeping. Sorry, Sonia. Notre Dame wins this game. Wow, let me make a tackle here. Jeez. That was a nice little run. We like Notre Dame here because it's national championship for Notre Dame is worth $7,000 for this guy. Scatabo was awesome the other day, Sonia, as I said. And I know it's some of the people, not my audience, but some people don't remember Larry Zonka. Scatabo is an athletic Larry Zonka, is how I described him yesterday. He's an exciting, fun guy to watch play. I loved when he got up and he was getting pissed early in the game. They weren't blocking, they weren't opening holes. And one of his linemen tried to help him up and he pushed, like, get the F away from me. Just block somebody. Notre Dame special teams hit the punter twice. By the way, but Notre Dame special teams have been actually pretty good this year, Rick, because they've had a bunch of fake punts, a bunch of fake kicks, or at least one fake kick. They scared Kurt Signetti into calling a timeout when he didn't need one, when they lined up with a fake for a fake field goal or fake punt. I don't remember which it was, but they do a lot of good stuff on special teams. Their kicking has been shaky, but they do a lot of good stuff on special teams, as well as, you know, you make a mistake now and again, but special teams are important, as we said. They're not the only team that plays shaky on special teams from time to time. But you got to take chances here and there. I'm okay with a guy hitting a punter here and there. I thought he took a pretty good route. And I thought, by the way, it was a nice acting job by the Georgia punter. Sonia says they need to flex that game back to 5 at the latest, too close to midnight. Which game? Which game are we talking about? There's not a lot of flexing going on, though. Ryan did crack those things. Sorry, good thing Paul Spada's gone, because I don't know where Danny went. Definitely not waiting to contact. 4th and 19, UGA all in Notre Dame. I'm probably behind here. I just read our coach Bill Belichick could make a huge splash by bringing in Ewers. Maybe he's a guy who offered him $6 million, Scott. By the way, he's not my guy if he's coaching North Carolina, because by marriage, I've got to root for Miami, and I will be rooting against Bill Belichick all the way. And I'm not convinced he'll be there more than a year anyway. So we'll see. Again, it'd be just like Belichick to be there offering a guy $6 million who's not even in the portal. Maybe he'll get to school on probation before they ever play a game. Next friend, it would make too much sense. They don't want a guy who makes sense. It's me or Saban. I take Saban. Here's the thing. If you want to be the next president of the NCAA, listen, I'm not the smartest guy. Take a look at me. Take a look at me in my biography. I'm not the smartest guy in the frickin' room, man. I just follow logic all the time. Two things. I look for logical answers, and I'm a big Occam razors kind of guy. And if you don't know Occam's razor, it is the theory that the simplest answer is almost always the right one. And that's kind of how I've lived my life. Don't overcomplicate things. But we do that in sports in general, especially the NCAA and even the college football committee. Now, remember, keep in mind, guys, the NCAA and the college football playoff are two separate entities, have nothing really to do with one another, except the NCAA teams play in the college football championship. So they've got to be on the same page, and these bowl games have got to get on the same page, but they're not run by the NCAA either. NCAA really is, it's a toothless organization. For sure. What do we got here? Wow. That's pretty big. 317 is starting. The line of Georgia is like twice the size of the line of Notre Dame's defense. There's a good tackle. All right. Anyway, guys, we're not going to go too much longer because I don't feel great, and I'm going to go up and get in my PJs, turn on a fire, and watch this football game and see if we can get one step closer to 7K. What else did I want to talk about today? Anything else? You guys got anything else? What's on my notes here? We talked about some winners. Oh, by the way, Kyle Dillingham. Not that it really means anything, I guess, in today's landscape. 5-year extension, Arizona State, brilliant move, locking this guy up. 34 years old, 32 years old when he took this job. Youngest coach, I think, one of the youngest coaches in NCAA history. Takes this team from 1-9 to a playoff appearance in 2 years. Done a great job. Good job locking him up. At least he'll have to pay to get out of there when he wants to. These contracts are worth like what the paper they're written on. With Buckeyes win, Texas, emotional Sun Devils, no question we belong. I agree. Louisville punter skipped the Sun Bowl. Speaking of NIL and people opting out, here's a new one. The Louisville punter skipped the Sun Bowl because of an NIL dispute. He graduated on December 13th, had every intention of being with the team. Had they held up their end of the deal, he did not disclose how much money he is owed. We're heading towards now lawsuits. We saw this happen in Vegas in like week 4 or 5. And by the way, good move for Las Vegas because they were better. Nevada, Las Vegas was better when the kid left than before. Dillingham's a great coach. His players were walking off the field. He told them to turn around and shake Texas hands. Great. I agree. I like that a lot. Scott, I like the way he carries himself. He commands that sideline and those players' attention like a guy who's been doing it for 20 years. A lot of fun watching him coach. Great move by Arizona State, locking him up long term. But again, is it really long term? Because, whatever. College basketball. Where's Rick? I want you guys now are going to get a chance to rip another James because LeBron's younger brother Bryce commits to Arizona. Now, Bryce can play basketball. You guys and I still will say we don't know whether Bronny can play or can't play. We just don't know. And we'll never know now because of the way this whole thing went down. He's a first-round draft pick when he should never have been picked. He should still be in college. Let Bryce play. He's committed to Arizona. Let him play. We'll talk much more about him going forward. Any big changes? Scary situation with Gonzaga this week, by the way, as their plane narrowly avoided a runway collision at LAX. The rankings, not much has changed, by the way. The entire top 13 is still the same as it was. Gonzaga, after... Well, this could have been a much worse week for them, obviously, based on what I just said. They dropped 5 spots. UCLA jumped up 7 spots with a couple of good wins this week to 15. Memphis jumped up 5. Ole Miss drops 8. And San Diego State dropped out of the rankings. Otherwise, not a lot of movement other than those couple of teams that I mentioned. We'll be talking much more college basketball as college football is now winding down. Once we get to the championship. Agreed. There's JB. Happy New Year to you, my friend. The Lakers going to draft Bryce in 2 years. I feel so bad for Bronny. I really do. And nobody else but me does. People say, give him the money. Give the money back. If you have any pride, you give the money back. Nobody's giving the money back. You guys are all so full of crap. Anybody who says, not all you guys here, don't get me. Again, anybody who says, give the money back. If you have any pride, you give the money back. Nobody ever gives the money back. What player or coach have you ever seen give money back because they sucked? And he might have been a decent player. He may never have been anything. We will never know. So what I've been telling you forever about Bronny. And I hope Bryce kind of follows his own path and doesn't get sucked down the same one Bronny did. Kansas lost a big game last week. They did. And they didn't lose a spot. Who did they lose to this week, by the way? Oh, West Virginia. Listen, the Big 12 is really good. I think it's the best basketball conference in the country, for sure. Not fair, but funny, Rick. We need new nicknames. You can't just give them number 2 and number 3. That shows zero imagination, Rick. I hope he stays in school. Bronny never should have come out. Bronny got used by his father. Bronny got used by the Lakers. Bronny got used by whatever representation he has and wasn't strong enough to say no. Let Bryce go and see if we can play. We'll never know how good Bronny was. And he might very well have been just as bad as he is. I don't know. But I will tell you one thing you don't know either. If he played 4 years of college, we have no way to know how good he would have been. Don't throw his numbers at me from last year. The kid had a major medical situation and came back and played basketball for it 6 months later, or a year later, I guess. And, whatever. I'm not going to go down the street again. I feel bad for Bronny as well. Thank you, Scott. You and me are the only 2 guys. Speaking of the NBA, we're not talking NBA. We're talking, I guess I was. Alan just waits there. He's been waiting for somebody to mention the NBA so he could bring up the Thunder. Not college related. Sorry, I can't talk about it. But they're playing very well. Pop in Sunday. Nobody ever brings up the NBA Sundays on the Stream of Consciousness, Alan. You're welcome to come in and we'll talk the Thunder till you're blue in the face. Also undefeated Oklahoma against Bama in their first true test of the year. There you go. When is that? When is that game? Is that this weekend or tonight or tomorrow? What is it? Or did they win already? There you go. 1-4, 6 o'clock on the SEC network. Alabama, Oklahoma. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun game. I like Nate Oates, by the way. One of my favorite coaches. So, yeah, we found it on the 6th anyway. Good job. Good job. I see a lot of green people jumping up and down. What happened? Stuffed him. And he fumbled, and Notre Dame recovers. I'm going to tell you, this is different. This game's different already than Notre Dame's other playoff appearances, than Notre Dame's 10 major bowl appearances in the last 30 years without a victory. That's more than a generation, guys, without a major bowl victory for Notre Dame. Oh, my favorite Dr. Pepper commercial. Anyway, guys, we're going to get going. Been fun. We had to get this in and talk some college football, some college basketball. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., one-on-one with Keith Engle. Richard Todd, former Alabama quarterback, the heir to Joe Namath with the Jets. We'll talk about all of that and more with Richard Todd tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll do a quick MLB update tomorrow at 3, and we'll be back Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. And next Friday, Tony Collins, former Patriot star running back. See you guys later. Keith Engle, the College Football Huddle. Have a great, great weekend.